Today on the Ever Onward podcast, we have Jay Tust. Jay is an amazing guy, 14 years at KTVB as the sports director. He's famous in our community for a few things, but mostly for being one of the greatest guys around. And he just made a huge move. He just went over to Boise State. He will be leading Bronco Studios for Boise State Athletics. Jay has been an incredible journalist. He won the 2015 Murrow Award. He won an Emmy Award in 2019. Is a true pro, and Boise State's just very, very fortunate to have him with this move and with all they're doing. Can't wait to catch up with Jay Tust today. Prior to Jay Tust, we'll have a Alquist update with my partner, Holt Haga. Holt, man, we've been busy.
Holy cow. It's been crazy.
It's funny that we have to do a little Alquist update for us to get connected to talk.
I know. We're freaking running right now. We're running and gunning. It's good.
It's been good. Let's talk a little bit about what's just going on. It's interesting. We're in I think nationally, we're kind of in this, hey, what's going on? A lot of stuff going on. You know, interest rates have not done what we thought they were going to do. But our valley, because of Micron and now this new announcement, and what are you seeing out there? You're in the streets every day.
Well, it's interesting because we do a lot of panels and things. We get a lot of questions, and that's the question that comes up all the time, almost exclusively is, what's going on in Boise with office? We hear it's good, but why isn't office being built? What's going on? And it's kind of a simple question with a really complex answer, right? But just something is and we talk a lot about market conditions, but something pretty interesting is happening right now in the office space in the Treasure Valley. And, we do have a healthy market. It's very healthy, actually. It's about as healthy as it's been in a long time. I mean, it's our vacancy rates have been at 6.5 to 7% for the last 3 years, stable.
Yeah.
Which, that's... So traditionally, you're looking at that, guys like us will look at that and say, hey, let's go build more office, right?
Yeah.
And so then the question is, okay, well, why aren't we building office? And we know that as a developer, it all comes down to basis and market conditions. We know they're good, but basis is sort of a fancy way of saying cost. And when we plug in all our assumptions and our numbers, it just, with interest rates and construction costs and land prices and all the things, exit cap rates and things
harder than ever to do it.
Harder than ever, right? And so we know why we haven't been able to do it. And when you enter all those things in and you sort of, assess a corresponding lease rate, that you have to be able to support those costs and get the return on investment, you're either below market, at market, or above market.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're below market, you're definitely doing the project. If you're at market, you're still doing it. If you're a little above, you're still doing it. But if you're way above, you're like, it doesn't make sense, right? Because it's too risky.
Yep.
That's where we're kind of have been somewhere in that, just with the costs and the basis. And so it's been difficult. But I think the interesting thing that we're seeing in the data right now is that the sublease, the vacancy rates have been stable, but the sublease, space available on the market has been cut in half effectively. It's
because it's still happening here.
It's still happening, right? And so because we haven't been building, the sublease space that was at 680,000 square feet 6 months ago is now at 350,000 square feet. So if you extrapolate that out and you say, okay, in 6 months, in another 6 months, you're out of vacancy. You're out of sublease space, right? So then where are people going? Because assuming demand stays, stays relatively stable, there's just the supply is going to be an issue, and it's going to have.
Well, and some I think there is a corollary between what happened in the residential market here and what happened in the office market here. It just is, because you had residential. If you looked at what the median home value was for a long, long, long time, and then you had this explosion, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about office, it's the same thing. We had stable rates. Remember when we bought the U.S. Bank building and we found the rent roll from 1982 or whatever? It was like $15.
Unchanged.
And we're like, oh man. I mean, we were that many years later and the rates were the same.
Yeah.
But then rates started to creep up a little bit, because they had to.
Yeah.
I still think there's some catch up to do on rates, just because of this explosion in costs. Labor costs are not going to go down with everything going on. So I guess the advice I'd give someone looking for office is you better get it now.
Absolutely.
Because it's not going to be less expensive coming up. It's more expensive for us to build. Land's more expensive than it's ever been.
Yep.
Labor costs are going to stay tight. So getting high quality office now, and us figuring out how to get more on the market, that we're just got to do it, because it's not like next year is going to be any easier. Rates may come down a little bit, but all these other factors are staying the same, and it's just going to end up costing more, just like everything else.
Exactly. It's just like your groceries and real estate's the same. But to your point, it's like, we have been lagging behind other markets, and rates have not increased at the same rate.
It's interesting because on the retail side, they have.
Yeah, retail has.
You look at all the retail we're doing at 10 mile, the rates you're getting. I'm like, oh my gosh. So retail certainly, I think retailers have responded to, hey, this is just what it costs now. The industrial has, if you look at what industrial, so I think just the office market, it's going to cost more going into the future with everyone moving here. And
it is.
And it's and the other thing for office users, I hear this all the time. I've had a couple friends call me in the last couple of weeks, is the commodity is still people.
Yeah.
Like, I say that in a positive way. There has never been a better time. I tell my kids this. I mean, if you're in your 20s and you have a skill set, the fact that you can go get everyone needs high quality individuals now. So having a space that you can come to work and attract and retain and recruit people, it's going to be more and more and more and more critical. Having a place where you want to go to work, you want to be with the people you want to be with, being in space that's comfortable, that they've thought about, hey, natural light and how it's laid out and your workspace.
Yeah, it's the recruitment and retention. It's like the critical human capital component, right? Yeah. So it'll be interesting, but I think just generally at the here's where we are, but what's coming is, all signs kind of point to rates are going to continue to rise.
It's not slowing down.
It's not slowing down, and the market what's happening in the market is the sort of the backbone of that.
This is all true. If we would have said this before Micron's new announcement for the next $50 billion, we would have told you this. But now
that's just that's even more like piling on. Yeah.
What a great place to live. It's awesome to have so much industry. It's funny for me to think back to 25 years ago when I was on little committees of like, how are we going to ever get businesses to move here? And how are we going to ever get median wages up? And now we're dealing with the other side of that, which is this is what happens when you have an unbelievable place to live, unbelievable place to raise
quality
families,
of life. Yeah.
Quality of life off the charts. And that's why everyone's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. We're fortunate.
All right.
Very fortunate.
Man. It's been fun. Hey, man.
How are you?
Good. Last night I had MJ hit me up on text right and left. I don't know how he heard you coming off. He's like, that guy's one of the best guys on the planet.
I learned a lot from MJ, especially trying to just be as energetic as he is every day. Because that's, I think, it's actually what makes MJ special, because he still certainly has it.
Doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I love that guy. Mm-hmm. But he told me to ask you about all the long car trips in the Bronco.
Oh, man. Sometimes you got to earn covering the Boise State football team, right?
I didn't realize you guys traveled by car so much.
Yeah. We've driven to I remember probably my best memory is getting off the news at 10 one night and driving straight to Albuquerque, which was about 21 straight hours of driving, right? And it's so funny, Tommy, because I'm sure you know this, like when you're working on a project and you're just, it kind of wear you down at sometimes and whatnot. And then you look back on it years later and you're like, oh man, those were the good old days.
The best of times,
you know what I mean?
It's always that way.
Yep. And I will say this. I'm sure MJ's cool with me sharing this. I was a young buck back then, right? And
so we're getting into this, but 14 years.
14 years, yep. And so this was on the front end of my career when MJ would make these rides or these drives with us. And I would often find myself in the driver's seat just a little bit more than MJ. And I remember, turning around in the back seat and MJ's laying across the back seat, taking a quick little nap. But I will say this about him. I say that in jest, but I honestly thought it was pretty cool for a guy that had been in the game as long as he had, that he was still willing to do that in order to serve his community, right?
Yeah.
And so I definitely took those moments and learned from them.
He's an unbelievable human being. The energy and just, it's genuine.
Yep.
It's his heart. He's on our board, our nonprofit board, Teens Trades, puts on a golf tournament. And it's just, but he just comes in a room and lights it up.
Yep. If you think he's energetic on a newscast, watch him emceeing a charity event or something like that, right? I will say this. So when I moved here, I got my start in broadcasting in Lewiston, Idaho at CLU, right? And I spent about
I didn't know that.
Yep. I spent about 2 years there. I look back now, the good old days. Wanted to get out of there at the time as fast as I possibly could, but it was a baseball town covering the NAIA World Series. It was great. But, our whole newsroom, our whole on-air department was 3 people, right? We had zero ability to go live. So we had to always be in the studio in order to actually have a newscast. And I moved down here, and it was our first trip. It was my first trip covering the Boise State football team on the road. And we went to the Glass Bowl in Toledo, Ohio, right? And again, travel out across country. We're all pretty tired. And our photographers, Shanti Asale and Mike D. Donato, fire up, the light, the camera, and it's go time to do the news at 10. And all of a sudden, MJ finds more enthusiasm than I could ever muster up at that point in time. But I just remember looking at him and going, okay, that's how this is done. And ever since that day, I've just tried to be as energetic and as passionate as that man is about working in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah. There's some pretty incredible people that if you get around really successful people and you watch them, that turn it on thing. It's interesting that you say that, because yesterday we had a little thing here. We're helping Operation Military Blessings, great nonprofit, 30 years, started here, and they basically provide gas cards and grocery cards for the first couple years in the military.
Okay.
Because those families, what they make, 39% of them are food insecure, and they're actually under the poverty level when you join. Anyway, they're here locally. They're out of diapers and baby formula. So we started a thing yesterday. But I'm getting to my point. So Governor Dirk Kempthorne is on their board, and so as part of the event yesterday, he was here. But he's undergoing cancer treatment right now. So he comes in. He's you could tell he's going through it. And I'm even like, hey, Dirk, I can't even believe you're here. But man, when those cameras went on.
Yep. Ready to go.
For the press conference. Some of the guys that were filming it, he sat up and just delivered. One of the guys said, he's like, I didn't even care what he said. It was like the most powerful and passionate thing. And I remember also with Mitt Romney when we were able to campaign together, same thing. He on the plane, getting to the event, just tired, these drying long days, and then just boom, they turn it on. But I've thought about that, and I think MJ's that way too.
Yeah.
Right? He knows he's got to deliver, and he can just dig deeper to another level and just make it happen.
Yep. And I've worked with tremendous people at KTVB. Another one that I'll bring up that has been one of the more influential people in my life is Carolyn Hawley.
Oh, yeah.
And she's another one that, she's a mom, she's balancing so much. And then I just remember again, watching her on the desk, and it was just you had no idea what else was going on in her world. And it was just the most professional thing you ever saw. And I'm like, okay, I got to somehow try to mimic that as well, which would be impossible to actually, perfectly try to emulate that. But also, Tommy, a lot of it for me comes from my, just growing up around sports, right?
Yeah.
And it really is crazy how much of it does translate, right? Yeah. And there's times when you're, cross country, the Florida State game, where it's 48 hours. We probably had 4 hours of sleep. They moved the game because of a hurricane. You're just exhausted, but it goes back to, workouts at 5 a.m. in college, and you don't want to get up and run 3 miles, but you kind of have a little moment with yourself with no, how much you got in the tank. And I still have those moments with myself now, whenever I'm tired, it's that challenge. How much more can you give? And as close as you think you are to empty, there should be a little bit left in the tank. And I always go back to, I draw on my experiences from sports when it comes from stuff like that. And it still certainly motivates me today.
I love that. Can we go back now? Let's start there. Tell us a little bit about growing up and you.
I grew up in Tacoma, Washington, and I lived in the same bedroom, Tommy, with my bed almost in the same position until the time I left for college. And the reason why I kind of bring that up, my dad, blue collar worker, another guy that
What did he do?
He was an electrician at the University of Washington Hospital. He worked there for over 35 years, but he was a guy that woke up at 5 every morning. We lived in Tacoma. He worked in Seattle. So you're talking about an hour and a half up or so dealing with traffic. We only live like 25 miles away, but over there you're dealing with traffic. So you're 90 minutes to 2 hours up to Seattle. He works and then he has to battle that coming back home. And so, he was gone like 11, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I just learned a lot from that. Later on in life, I actually interned up there for a summer job, and I really got the chance to see him do it. And he would also come home and then drive me to baseball practice. We get home from that at like 9:30 or 10. And then he just did that every day. And that was a real experience for me to witness what my dad kind of like sacrificed and did for me to try to be the best version of myself. And so
there's a mentality on those kind of guys,
yep.
though. I have it. My dad's the same way.
Yeah.
But man, even now, the guy's almost 80 and he works me into the ground and just never complains. And I'm like, dude, it's hot or it's cold or I'm tired or whatever, and he just grinds.
Yep.
I think we're soft, is what I'm trying to say.
You've actually led me to my next point here, Tommy, because my dad, he jokes around that he might not have some of the skills that I have in terms of getting up in front of a camera or crafting an email or whatever it might be. My dad can roll up his sleeves and fix anything, Tommy. Like he can fix anything.
Yeah.
And I captured zero of that skill set. So anytime anything breaks around the Tust household here in Boise, he's my first call, and usually he just shakes his head at me, and then he helps me figure it out. But that's the reason why I bring up this story, is because not only did he help build what I take pride in is my work ethic, but I would also say change wasn't something that was like instilled in me early. Lived in the same bedroom till I was 18. Yeah. My dad worked the same job for 35 years. And so as I make this transition from KTVB, a place that I've been at for 14 years, to Boise State, it's really not that big of a change, Tommy. But for me, it feels like a lot of change, right? But growing up in Tacoma, I loved sports. I love football, but baseball has our heart. Baseball was like the thing. Since I can remember, we're watching it at the house. I'm collecting baseball cards.
So a huge Mariners fan?
Huge Mariners fan. I was joking around with my buddies over at Tex last night because we just blew another lead to the Yankees. We were up 5-0 in the eighth and lost.
I saw the highlights. I'm like, what?
I know, it's just the worst thing ever. Ken Griffey Jr. is my idol.
Yeah.
Absolute idol. It hit me last night that he is also the person that I'm going to hold responsible for what has been a lifetime of misery so far as a baseball fan. Because not only have we never won a World Series, Tom, we've never been to the World Series. And I remember growing up, like all the Cubs fans and Red Sox fans being like, "Were we ever going to see it in our lifetime?" Yeah. And now
you're them.
I'm them. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to see it in my lifetime. So yeah, but baseball's got my heart. It always has. And
still does. You watch.
Still does.
You follow it every day.
Yep.
Isn't it a great?
It is.
I always say the only real negative about being in a town this size, it would be great if we had a major team. Wouldn't it?
It would be amazing. I mean, we're getting everything around here. I mean, we're booming like crazy.
Even AAA.
But I would love it. I'd be there every night, Tom. I would be there every night, Tommy. I would be there every night.
We're doing a giant redevelopment downtown Reno, and they have the Reno Aces.
Yep.
So
I've been there. It looks beautiful.
AAA team for the Diamondbacks.
Uh-huh.
So I've been to a few games over there. But it's just AAA, nice ballpark. Herb Simon owns the team. Mm-hmm. He's the owner of the Indiana Pacers.
Okay.
And that Reno, our size town, but I'm like, I want this.
Yeah.
I want that.
Well, what do we got to make it happen here, Tommy? What can we do to pull this off?
Hey, we got off track here.
Yeah.
So then you baseball's your thing.
Mm-hmm. So coming out of actually, I'm going to back up just a little bit here because it's an important part of my story and overcoming adversity. I loved baseball, but I was awful at it. I was terrible. Tommy, if I got a hit in a season like we were celebrating, I was bad. really bad. And
were you as jacked then? Because maybe the problem there is you were like,
I was the smaller kid. I actually was a smaller kid then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it had to do with the fact that you couldn't swing a bat.
Maybe that was
so
it.
Big.
Maybe that was it. I was terrible at it. But I joke around about Griffey. We would time our nights around his at bat.
Why are you so terrible at it? I was not expecting you.
Yeah. Just kind of a little kid, afraid of the ball, stuff like that, And
you loved it.
But I loved it. The irony of all of this, though, is my dad came to everything. He was a great supporter of mine. And there was a day, I vividly remember the at bat. I'm 11 years old. And it's like the one day my dad had to work a weekend and during baseball season, because he did work weekends, but during baseball season, he never missed a game. He missed this one. And I literally remember standing at the at bat at Northeast Tacoma Elementary. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna swing the bat. Like, I'm just gonna stand. What could go wrong? And so, luckily the pitcher threw it over the plate. I swung, I hit an opposite field double into the right center field gap. And I remember standing on second base thinking, this is like the coolest feeling ever. Why don't I just do this all the time? And that was a big turning point in my career. And so from being the worst kid in Soundview Little League as an 11-year-old, I made varsity baseball at Stadium High School as a freshman. And just to advance the story a little bit, I worked myself into a position to get drafted out of high school by the Cincinnati Reds. That was like the coolest moment at that point in time in my life. Cool. Because I really did sacrifice a lot. It was the moments where all your friends might be out kind of doing like the fun, cool stuff that like you'd want to be doing in high school. And at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, I'd still be swinging away in a batting cage for an MLB scout or something like that. And I really learned the power of sacrifice at my senior year of high school. And that really set the course for, the rest of my life, really, Tommy.
And I know you know this, but sports, in so many ways, right? The individual sacrifice, those solitary moments when you're alone and you're like, can I do this? What do I need to do? You dig in, you find yourself. And then the team aspect of it.
Yep.
How do you be part of something bigger than you? There's just so many reasons that it can be so powerful in shaping our lives and becoming, you think of the lessons you probably apply right now to business that you learn both individually and personally and team-wise. It's the big deal.
I also think that I played, I'm not going to say the most frustrating sport because I try to play golf now and that's often very frustrating. But baseball is a game of failure. You have to learn how to succeed when you are mad at yourself, when you're frustrated, all this stuff, and you need to learn how to move on, right? Your next at bat is always your most important at bat. Yeah. If you struck out, whatever it is, if you hit a home run, it doesn't matter. Like your next at bat is what you have to focus on. It's your most important at bat. And so it's things like that when you're anchoring a show and there's stuff going on, somebody forgets to roll a video or something's going, and if you show it in the moment, then your emotions get the best of you. Your next at bat, your next story, whatever it is your most important story. You have to find a way to move on and hold your composure. I know that an analogy I've heard over at Boise State recently is skate to where the puck is, right? As a center fielder, you have to run to where the ball is. And, I was at a time in my life fairly athletically gifted, but I was never the fastest guy, right? But I think that, whether it be an angle to a fly ball, stuff like that, anticipation, instincts, I think that I was able to develop those at a higher level. And so I was able to make up the difference between guys that were faster than me because I was more efficient. Tommy, that's getting from point A to point B in whatever you do, right? Like if you're working on a project, how do I most efficiently get from point A to point B? A guy's faster than me, right? Well, there's people out there, there's universities, there's broadcast stations that have more resources, more money. I have to do what they do at the same level, but I have to get from point A to point B faster than them. So it's all the analogies can apply one way or the other, right? And you can dismiss them, but I lean into them because I love sports. I still work in sports today, and I think they absolutely fit my mission.
And they're real. As you were talking here, I was thinking about business. We have a lot of people listen to this that are business leaders, but the other analogy that is accurate is if you come from a sports background, you are just used, especially baseball, like you said. You must be good at saying, I'm going to have a bunch of failure and I'm going to keep growing and succeeding. And I'm not, there's always taking myself to the next level in whatever aspect of my game.
Yep.
You think about business. There's so many people that I am around now that I'm like, man, you're setting some artificial, because I think they believe they've arrived at some level, with their interpersonal skills, with their leadership skills, with their ability to create vision and plans and, deliver. And I'm like, you probably ought to sit down and have a plan, because it doesn't stop.
No.
It doesn't stop when you're 30. It doesn't stop when you're 40. It doesn't stop when you're 50. In fact, I think as you get older and you get a little perspective on this whole thing, then you're like, man, I still have a long ways to go, right? I still need mentors. So it doesn't stop, right? So it's a great analogy professionally. And, we'll tie into a little bit. I don't want to go there yet, but tie in a little bit to where you're at. I mean, how old are you now?
I am on the other side of 40, Tommy.
Other side of 40, and you're making this big change, right? But it makes sense to me, because you're in this progression professionally where, like, what's the next thing to stretch? What's the next thing to grow?
Totally.
Where are you going to take the gifts that God gave you in this career that you've done and your professionalism and say, I'm ready for the next thing?
Yep.
So it makes sense to me.
First off, I'm so happy that God placed me here in Boise, Idaho, because I absolutely love it.
Yeah, isn't it great?
I thought that when I signed my first contract here, it was a 3-year deal, and I thought that I would be here for the length of that contract and get the heck out of here. And I didn't really know much about Boise, Idaho when I even moved here. I just knew that it was a bigger market and a bigger station than I previously was. And if you want to climb the ladder, that's the next rung, right? Yeah. And then I moved here and I was like, well, this place is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I started to kind of think about things. Not only did I meet my wife, and now we've started a family. That happened in about year 3 that I met her. And then year 6 or 7, we started to develop our family. But I think that when I moved here, I didn't understand how unbelievably kind of accommodating this place is, in all honesty. Yeah. Like, I lived 8 minutes from work when I worked at KTVB. I work at Boise State now, and I live about 12 minutes from work. On a bad day when I hit traffic, it's about 20. Yeah. And I go back to the story about my dad. He's sitting in a car for almost 3 hours a day, and that's time you don't get back in life.
Do the math on that over raising
it adds
your kids,
up.
right?
And even, there's even like I've thought about myself, okay, if he's gone 11, 12 hours a day, but he's spending 3 hours in a car, and it only takes me a total of a half hour to commute to and from work every day, I could even pour 10 and a half, 11 and a half hours, and I'm still gone as long as he is, right? So I can even get another 3 hours of production at work almost. That's more of my mindset during football season because the demands are greater. But either way, I just think that that's life you don't get back sitting in a car, right? And so
you know who talks a lot about this? Garrett Lofto, who's the CEO of Simplot.
Okay.
We're doing a little thing on transportation, and he will passionately talk about his employees that have to travel on I-84 right now, and what an hour commute means each way to their family life. And as the CEO, he's like, hey, I don't want that. I want those 2 hours a day.
Absolutely.
2 times 5, that's 10 hours a week. I want that spent with their kids. I want that spent, you know what I mean? He's like, it's been really good for me to feel the authentic, just genuine passion about I want this for my employees. So you forget that sometimes. Sometimes it's just what you do. But over a lifetime, as you get, again, I think as you get a little older, you look back, you're like, man, it's a big chunk of my life. So it's interesting that you appreciate it so much.
That's honestly, Tommy, that alone is actually still a big reason why I live here. Yeah. It also means that I can run home on a lunch break or maybe for dinner real quick or whatever it is, and still do that and get back to the office, to where if it's an hour and a half commitment, like you're not doing that. Like, so a couple of years ago, I took a serious look at moving back to Seattle for an on-air job back there, and the reality hit that I just don't know if that's where I wanted to be then or ever really want to be. I really value what Boise, Idaho has offered me. And it's also we really have like the kindest people. Nice. And, I worked in news for a long time. And so, everything's exposed there, and I get that. But I'm telling you, if you go to the store, if you walk around town, if you go to a Boise State football game, I really feel like you genuinely get to hang out and live in a town with like the kindest, most genuine people. It's not, I promise you, I've lived other places. It's not like here.
Yeah. It's the heritage of kindness and community. It's a big deal. Hey, tell me about your kids. I know this is a big deal for you.
It is.
I want to make sure I hit it because we're going to get into sports here in a minute, I'm sure. But talk about that.
I do like talking about this because I think that there's a lot of people out there that, they want to start families and they can always assume the path to parenthood is super easy, but sometimes it's not. And sometimes it takes you longer than you want to have kids. And sometimes you go through tragedy, and my wife is so strong. And, I feel like, Tommy, when you asked me about this, I'd be remiss if I didn't share my whole story. But, we lost our first child, our baby girl, at 26 weeks. She was a stillborn. We named her Claire, and it was tough. She had a chromosomal issue, and that was really tough for my family. But God works in mysterious ways, and so that was on April 6th, 2019, and on April 7th, 2020. We welcomed our little girl Collins into the world, and she is now a little over 5. She is just the coolest kid. Like, she's so bright, smart, and awesome, and I love being around her. And now I get to be around her at night because my schedule is shifted, and I know we're going to get to that in a second. But she's just wonderful, and she's going to school, and next year she's going to go to school full-time in her first full year of kindergarten. And then I have a 2-year-old son named Brooks, and he is just a tank. He is like he got
Dr. Brooks Robinson.
You know what? I love baseball, so I'm not going to say no to that. Everyone wants to say like Brooks Koepka, and that's not it. But I would probably say like I think that the first kids that were named Brooks came from Brooks Robinson, and we're a baseball family, so it certainly stemmed from that at some point in time. But he's just a tank, Tommy. And I got short legs and a long torso, and I'm sorry, buddy, but you probably got my short legs and a long torso. So he's tough. He's so different. All about cars, the movie, whatever it is, like, or Hot Wheels, that is. But he's all about it. He throws stuff, he runs into stuff, and he just bounces back up. So hopefully he'll be a little athlete. And then we got what I'll jokingly say is a negative 3-week-old, because my wife is due with our third child here in a couple weeks, and we don't know.
You don't know?
We are waiting. Did you wait at all?
I never did, but you had the patience to do that.
I had the patience to do it because my wife wanted to do it, Tommy. We actually did it with with Brooks.
By the way, that's a great move. No matter what, no matter what the issue is, that's a great move.
The best advice I could probably give on this podcast today. But we waited with my son as well.
Oh, you did?
And it was honestly, my wife is an organizer. She's a planner. Wants everything ready to go. And she said she wanted to wait, and I'm like, oh, that's not you. That's not. But if you want to, like, I don't have a choice. Like, I'm just gonna, whatever you say, we're going with. And it was the coolest thing. We didn't know. It's so funny. The doctor goes, "Hey, when he pops out, do you want me to tell you?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure. Let us know." And he popped out, and the doctor couldn't even get the words out of his mouth. And I was like, "It's a boy!" So I was pretty excited about that. I do love being a girl dad, so I don't care.
Well,
give me a happy, healthy little kid.
Already.
Yep, exactly. Give me a happy, healthy little baby, and I am good to go.
So I have a grandson that's 5 and a grandson that's 3. And
okay.
My daughter just had a little girl who's 10 months old. And oh man, she melts us.
Oh yeah.
She like just melts the whole room.
Yeah. She's gonna have you wrapped around her finger for quite some time.
Yeah,
it's over.
Poppy.
Yep.
Well, that's cool. Well, that's awesome. And you know what I love about you, and I don't know you that well, Jay, but I do as I follow you and watch you. It's really cool to watch the example you set as a father.
I appreciate that.
It's a big deal. I mean, because I know some of the guys from the station better than you, and it comes out with everyone that knows you that kind of like you're an awesome dad. Mm-hmm. Like,
I appreciate
as people describe you, that's like, and when that's like in the first couple of sentences that someone says about someone, you're like, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Honestly, Tommy, I don't know if I've ever really heard it phrased that way. So that actually does mean a lot to me. And think about my career. When people ask me about it, and like the biggest compliment you could give me is if you feel like I love my job, and I do. And I would say the same thing about just life in general, being a dad. So if that so easily comes out, that actually is awesome. Makes me feel like I'm kind of doing my job a little bit, maybe.
I think you are.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's talk about this transition.
Yeah.
This is going by fast, but I really want to get into it. Uh-huh. So, man, I was so excited. I didn't know what was brewing. and then this big thing comes up. But I can't wait to hear about. There's got to be JD's like one, like this guy.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Jay. Like, I've been around a lot of people in my life in healthcare and politics and business and everything else, and I don't know that I've ever been around a guy quite like him.
Yeah. A little while ago, you brought up sports and the team aspect, right? And I think a lot of the time is you thinking about how you can make your team better, which I certainly is the goal for me, is to make my team at Boise State better. But after that, on the other side of that is it's surrounding yourself with a good team and people that have drive and are going to make you better and are going to push you, and even to the point you're going to get a little uncomfortable, but when you come out on the other side, you're going to be better for it, right? And joining forces with Jeremiah Dickey, Cody Gogler, Chris Coots, all the incredible people over there running the Boise State Athletic Department right now, it's never been in a better position, Tommy. It's wild to think what is going on behind the scenes in the athletic department, how hard they're working, how passionate they are, how innovative they are. And they are always, it seems like, on the right side of the cutting edge. Like, they don't sit, they don't wait. They have the ability, and I don't even know how they do it half the time, but they're anticipating all of this chaos that's going on in college football. And it goes back to that analogy that I've heard them use recently, skate to where the puck is. Everybody wants to chase what's these current little changes, and they're like, no, I'm running the better route to the ball in the gap, right? My baseball analogy, like that. That's what it's about with them, and they're doing it right now. And I am just excited to work with people as passionate as they are. They love this community, and they're really setting the tone for college sports.
I've been able to be around him a little bit more lately for a couple of different things we're doing. And I think there's a lot to be learned about people love following people. And then setting and establishing a culture, it doesn't just happen. So there's a couple of little key principles here.
Yeah.
But then it's the work, the vision, the team, the communication, that clarity.
Yep.
That clarity of the plan and where we're going. Even though you can have lots of times in life, whether it's a business or whatever we're doing, a lot of times where we think we're going ends up getting there in twisted turns and ways, because there's challenges and problems that are going to come up.
Yeah.
But if you've got a team so committed to getting there, it's almost like bring it on.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
They're not afraid of it.
Just bring it on, because we know where we're heading, and our goals are so lofty, and our vision is so clear, and our team is so on the same page, and our plan is so precise on how we're going to execute, and then we're going to go work our asses off and work harder than you. It's infectious, man.
It is.
And in a lot of ways, I've had a lot of business over the years, and I think of some of the failures I've had, and I think it was because you didn't have kind of this thing that he creates. And I'm going to give credit at the top, but it is his whole team. But I've never seen anything like it. So I'm excited to hear what the plan is here. But when you moved over, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be great. I don't even know what it is yet till today. Yeah. That's why I wanted to call you to have you get on. But
no, I'm excited to talk about it, and he's my boss now, which I'm still getting used to saying. So hopefully he's cool with this. But kind of like when all of this stuff was starting to kind of take place, Jeremiah was back in New York at being honored as one of the best athletic directors in the country, right?
Yeah.
And I texted him congrats, and for him, he took I think it was like 5 or 6 people out of the athletic department off his senior staff with him, because he wanted them to kind of experience that scene. And none of it was about him. Like, he didn't make any of it about him. Like, everything he was telling me was like, it's because of my team. I wouldn't be here without my team. He constantly talks about that. And I mean, it might not seem like it holds weight, but I'm telling you, like, how adamant he is about the message and how genuine he is about the message. I was just like, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't want to work with this guy. Like, he's all about the bigger picture of the team. And he said something at an event I emceed earlier this summer that I thought was kind of a cool thing. And when it comes to decision making, he said that sometimes even making the wrong decision is better than making no decision. I mean, Tommy, where would you be at right now if the first building you built, you were just hung up on what light bulbs forever.
Yeah.
And you just never made a decision about what light bulbs you wanted in a room. Well, you never go anywhere.
And it's almost like that resiliency that he has.
Yeah.
He's spot on because you're gonna accept that you're gonna make some mistakes. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have some unforced errors.
Yep.
Because you are so out there, and that's okay.
That's okay.
But when that's your culture, it also builds. It comes with resilience.
Yep.
It's kind of pre-baked because you're like, hey, we're gonna go for it, and it may not be exactly what we're thinking, but we're gonna be leading out there. I love the analogy, the puck analogy today, because that's exactly what they're doing.
It goes back to, I drum up another sports analogy, but how often does a coach say, if you make a mistake, but you make it going 100 miles an hour, like, I'm not going to fault you for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you make the wrong decision, but it's better than just sitting there and making no decision, because if you don't make a decision, you stand neutral.
Yep.
And if you stand neutral long enough, you're probably going to slide backwards, especially with where you need to go in college athletics right now, right?
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm just really proud of him. So what's the plan?
So I don't know if again, we're not stuck in neutral. We're moving forward. Boise State, a couple years ago, they vaguely mentioned this idea, Bronco Studios, and it was just too early then. They just weren't ready. And even now, I don't know. Honestly, Tommy, I don't know if we're fully ready. But you know what? We're ready to make decisions and we're ready to sprint. And so Boise State wants to build Bronco Studios, and they brought me on to help run this thing along with Chris Coots. And basically it is finding ways to monetize the incredible stories of Boise State, which Boise State itself has long been one of the greatest success stories in college sports, the underdog that always finds how to do more with less. And so now they're creating a place that is convenient for athletes, coaches, athletic administration to come to and share those stories on campus. We can jump in a room, jump on a podcast, a show, whatever it is. And now we can start to make sure that we tell our story as best as Boise State has ever done it. And that's what we're excited about. We have a temporary studio right now. We're working on the future. I've in the past I've been told don't set timelines on things, but I think we're so excited. I think we're looking at sometime in the next year getting that permanent home, and I think it's going to look sharp. And if you know Boise State, and again, Cody Gogler, Jeremiah Dickey, Chris Coots, all these guys over there, that it's going to be second to none. We're going to do this right, and it's going to be awesome. And I'm so excited for it. And I also have to mention people like Spencer Danielson, Leon Rice, two guys that I've worked with for a long time that they get it. Yeah. They get it. There's another number of other coaches over there, Justin Schultz, Beck Rogar. These guys are all awesome people that I'm so excited to get to know better and make sure that we're doing our best to not only tell their stories, but their athletes' stories and share them with Boise and honestly beyond that, because now, the way media has changed, you're no longer even just confined to your city, right? It's YouTube, it's social media, it's all this stuff that now expands across the country and even globally for that matter. But we're really excited about this, Tommy, and to where we can take it.
Talk a little bit about the brand.
Yep.
You've been around sports, professional, college. I mean, this is your life. Mm-hmm. Talk about the strength of the Boise State brand in the nation. And just how it's an incredible. You don't realize it. Yep. It's just that things like this just don't happen.
So when I lived my sophomore year of college, I actually played baseball down in Texas. And whenever I told anybody, where are you from? And I'd say Washington, and they'd go DC, and I would say no, Washington. Otherwise, I would have said Washington DC. But why I bring that up is because now I get to travel out and. Mostly it's to cover Boise State, but whether you're in Louisiana or Washington, D.C. or Florida or whatever, and they go, where are you from? And you say, Idaho. And they go, Iowa? And you go, no, Idaho. And they're, where's that at? And I go, do you know the Blue Field? Oh, Boise State, the Blue Field, potatoes. Yeah. I just don't know if there is another. I know that Alabama is big and LSU and all this stuff, but when you talk about their state, I don't know if the university or field resonates at the magnitude that Boise State does in Idaho. The power of the Blue is real, I'm telling you.
It is. It's the front porch to our community. And what a beautiful front porch it is.
It's awesome.
Well, I mean, like the thing that I often tell Jeremiah, if you could plan, I mean, you think about our people, like just think about the families that live here. Sometimes we get, but you think about just all of these families that make up our community in the Treasure Valley. And then you think about Idaho, and you think about the heritage, and you think about everything here, and how he's come in and embraced what was there, which was a great foundation.
Yep.
But instead of trying to go forward with a plan that didn't embrace the past, JD embraced that. It was the blue collar club. It's who are we? It's what our heritage is. So everyone that was here is like, yes, this guy gets us. But then he takes it to the next level.
Yes.
And so you go from where we were 10 years ago to where we are now nationally, and you think about, you could not have planned it any better for the people of Idaho, for the state of Idaho, for the heritage of Idaho, for the Treasure Valley. What a front porch it is. And then you walk that campus, you see, and I'm same thing. Everywhere I travel, everywhere, it is the topic that comes up. And then you have a little bit of good fortune, like an Austin Genty.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. He was unbelievable. I mean, I say the blue now, and maybe Ashton is going to be known across the country just as well as the blue is for that matter.
You see what he's doing at the Raiders already. The guy,
he's lovable.
He's just one of a kind. Well, Kellen Moore was very much that way.
Yep.
I mean, we've had these transcendent athletes too. But what's the value of that could never be. You can never put a number on it for the state. You can never and where it sits right now. We're on the subcommittee, JD and I, for the president search, but it's the most important job in the state. This thing is just poised academically, like where it sits, just the academics, the school, the faculty, and then you come over here to athletics. We are in a great position.
This is such a relevant point to bring up right now. So recently, Texas State became a part of the Pac-12. If you would have asked 3 years ago or speculated that, you'd been like, there's why? No way, right?
Yeah.
So it was about 3 years ago, Texas State got a new president, and Texas State's president has been investing into athletics, right? And all of a sudden now, they start to run their own sprint, and 3 years of that attitude, and they have now parlayed that into an invite to the Pac-12, which now elevates everything for them. They go from the Sun Belt to the Pac-12, right? And so that university's president, that vision that he had, seeing the value in sports, the front porch of his university and making that front porch as beautiful as it could be, right? And now that has been so attractive to the point now that the Pac-12 has said, come on over here. We want you guys to help us build this thing. And so I do think this is an important decision for Boise State. And getting back to even to JD here for a second. So you bring up, the blue collar mentality, which is awesome, and it is a staple of Boise, Idaho. But I've been here long enough to also realize that there is a dangerous side to that. And what I mean is, we take so much pride in doing more with less, right?
Yeah.
But you better not get content with that always being the mission, because you know what's cooler than doing more with less?
Doing more with more.
Doing more with more.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah is going out there, and you look at the new scoreboard, the new sound system, the north end zone. He speculates about the east side, right? The only thing cooler than doing more with less is doing more with a little bit of more.
Yeah. But you had to do more with less to get there.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful thing. In a very short time, and man, hats off to him and his team, Cody. I mean, it's been incredible. It's been incredible. It's very inspiring. Hey, what are you looking forward to coming up? Well, I mean, the season's getting ready to
go. So
Notre Dame's going to be huge.
Oh, Notre Dame's going to be so cool. And I think that, there's some cool things coming down the pipe even with that. I'm just going to leave it at that. But I think that that game is just going to be epic. My grandfather, super Irish dude. And
my grandfather, same thing.
Yeah.
Like I grew up, in fact, makes me get a little emotional because my grandpa was my hero. Both of them. They were very different human beings. One was very, very Mormon, and one was very, very Catholic and hated Mormons. And the one that was Catholic, in his basement, he lived in a little teeny house. He worked at Kennecott Copper. He was very blue collar, and in his basement he had the things he loved. And he had an old Motorola record player, but it was one of those big console things, and I have it in my man cave right now.
Cool.
That's like when he died. I
need
wanted
that.
that.
Cool.
And I wanted his 40-year service ring from Kennecott Copper, and I have both of those things. But I grew up every time I was at his house dancing to the Notre Dame fight song in front of that. He was a passionate Notre Dame fan.
Yep.
And just it was his thing. It was that was just a connection that he loved. So I remember watching those games with him. You know, here he is living in Magna, Utah, working in a copper mine, but that was his team. So it's going to be great.
Same deal. Grandpa Sullivan always making sure you're drinking the right type of whiskey and stuff like that, you know. So he would be. I know that he thinks it's really, really cool. He's not in the state to travel anymore, and that's fine. He'll be watching it on TV. But that is a bucket list item. I'm so excited to go there. I've got to see some really cool venues during my time at Boise State and watch them cover some really cool opponents. I got a chance to experience just a little bit of that Kellen Moore. I got here in 11. They went 12-1. That was a special season, and I get to connect that with the Ashton Genty era, so I've seen a lot. But this one, Notre Dame at Notre Dame, South Bend, I mean, touchdown Jesus, it's going to be the coolest experience. What am I excited for? I'm excited for that. I'm excited to figure out how we're going to tell the stories and stuff for this whole season. But if you want to talk about a road trip, that's the one that's circled on this. And then I'm excited to see people like Maddox Matson rise up. All these guys that have to step up with Ashton Genty now out. Cage Casey, the left tackle, phenomenal dude. Mason Randolph at the center of the offensive line. Ty Benefield, the safety that led the team in tackles last year, that's going to make a big step. You're going to get to know people like Max Steege. Played very limited time last year, but with Ahmed Hassani now gone, he's a guy that's going to have to step up. So we get to learn about these new guys that we didn't know before, and now we get to see if Spencer Danielson can run this thing back and prove to college football that Boise State is a power team and deserves national recognition. And it's going to be an awesome fall. It's going to be an awesome fall because they have a great leader, and I just think they are built different. They are built for this.
Yeah. Wow. You got me going.
Yeah, right?
A little bit of basketball, because I think they've had a tremendous I mean, it is so interesting to see how different college athletics is now, because it's kind of like you reload. You do. But what I love about it, and maybe I'd love to get your take on this, when you have a coaching staff like we do, they're built for that, right? Yeah. Because they're just, the system's there, and Leon's there, and it's just very excited about what's going on too. Who they've lined up for this year is going to be incredible.
I know that we've said this in the past, but you look at their roster right now, and I'm telling you, the roster construction is really, really impressive. Yes, they will miss Tyson Dagenhart dearly, but I actually went out to practice yesterday. I'm telling you, Tommy, they look pretty good, and they're as deep as they've ever been. And the cool thing about this era is that the transfer portal, NIL, it is giveth and it is taketh. But Boise State doesn't get caught up in what is or isn't fair, any of that stuff. They just kind of charge forward and do what they believe is the best. And by having that attitude, I mean, you can look at it. Like, look who's entered the portal for them and look who they've gotten out of the portal. And they're on the winning side of this thing, Tommy. And you brought up the coaching staff, the continuity there. And again, if you don't know, you don't know. You can look at it from a bird's eye view and just think, they just have a coaching staff, Tommy. What's the difference? Yeah. I was talking with Spencer Ahrens yesterday. Spencer Ahrens is a true freshman. He just represented Team Canada at the U19 FIBA World Cup in Switzerland, right?
I saw that.
He had offers from, I mean, you name it, Oregon, Illinois, Washington. He had offers from Big Ten schools everywhere, and he chose Boise State. And so this is like when you bring up the fact, like, no, this coaching staff cares. They're going to develop you. And you're like, yeah, okay. Everybody says that. And then you talk with Spencer, and you're like, how's it different here? Mike Burns flew to Switzerland just to support and watch Spencer Ahrens play in that, right? It's not words with them. It is action.
I love watching Burns on the
Oh, he's so intense.
It's like my favorite thing.
I'm telling you, Tommy, you need to, have a special 2-hour-long version of your show here. Invite Burns on. That guy is filled with story after story after story.
I'm going to do that.
I don't
know him, but man,
Bernie's like the coolest. He's so awesome. Him, Tim Duryea, David Moats, Alexis Williams.
So intense.
He's intense. But here's the deal. He's intense when he needs to be intense, and then you get him away from the court, and he's like, again, just like one of the best guys to probably go have a beer with. Not that I ever have, but I would love to probably.
His son played at one of the local high schools.
Okay, yeah.
And one of my buddies was an assistant coach there. And we're sitting talking about it. I'm like, how's that going? And he's like, he's the coolest parent. He doesn't say it. I'm like, really?
Yep.
Just because you see his demeanor it's just awesome.
I think you get around some of these coaches, that's something they immediately realize is they're like, I don't want a parent calling me, telling me how to coach. So even though I know a heck of a lot more than that guy down there coaching high school, I don't want somebody doing that to me. So you know what? We're just gonna let him figure it out. And the cool thing about that is you let them work through adversity, and then you are just there to be the guy to lean on after it all.
What is your wife thought of the transition?
So far, so good. You know, the cool thing about this transition is I go from more working like a 2 to 11 schedule to more like a 9 to 5, which, man, seeing the sun come up, it's just great. I get off and the sun's still up. I get to go home and have dinner with my kids.
Yeah.
So I've lost a little bit of time in the morning with them, but I get so much more on the back end of it. And my wife is.
Now's the time to do it, because when I did night shifts in the ER for 10 straight years when my kids were little, and I'm like, I can do this forever.
Yep.
But as your kids get into school,
Yep.
man, it like the clock changes because you're going to see them more, and that's going to be significant.
My daughter is, like I said, 5 days a week next year. She did 2 days a week 2 years ago, 3 days a week last year, 5 days a week this coming year. And if I were to drop her off at 8, get home at 11, I'm not seeing this little person that I'm telling you I love more than life itself. I want to see her 5 days a week, and that would take from my soul.
Yeah.
And so now by hopefully mixing up the schedule.
Any other reason?
That's the reason.
That's the reason.
Yeah. So now I've shifted a little bit, and I think that habits and things like that and routines, they're so important, how we build ourselves and craft ourselves. And I'll say I kind of stuck in those same routines, those same habits for 14 years, and now by just even this little shift where I drive 4 more miles to work, still cover a team that I've covered for at 80% of my job, even at KTVB, just that little shift. It's
good for your soul, man. Changes like this sometimes.
Yeah, it is. I get to kind of rebuild those habits and analyze how I can structure myself to be the most efficient, best version of myself, professionally, family-wise, all that stuff. And so it's just been kind of fun to now, take notes and say, I kind of want to start my day off like this. And if I do this now, I don't have to do it later or whatever it is. And so it's just it's a blank slate to try to build on and become the best version of myself.
So for everyone listening out there, where should they be looking for the new stuff? And
so
tell us a little bit how to follow along.
In the short term, immediately, we can definitely tell you Boise State social media channels. So if you go to Bronco Sports, you can also find any of the main accounts, whether it be football, men's basketball, softball. They all have their own individual accounts. We'll certainly be all over social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff. But then on top of that, right now, we will be utilizing the YouTube platform. And that's another platform that, they have a really good following on there. And so our reach will be there. And then, after that, we're just going to kind of see what the future holds, Tommy.
But for now, that's where those stories will be. That's where to follow along.
Yep.
And you'll be digging in and sharing more and getting it out there.
And we'll tell that story and hopefully grow this thing. I'm telling you, the future is going to be cool with it, though.
Listen, I can't wait. Every time, what a great fit. And you're an unbelievable guy, man. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for the example you set. It may sound corny. I don't even care. So I'm sitting here talking to you today because I don't know you that well. I'm thinking, man, what a blessing for all of the people that are going to be around you, the athletes. You're a pretty unique guy. So to have you in the clubhouse with the leadership, and then to have you around these athletes and say, hey, that's a guy I want to be like someday. It's a pretty cool deal.
It's another huge point of pride I've taken in this thing, Tommy, is that I've always tried to relate to the athletes, and I have to consider what's best for news, but I also I take their I take their thoughts and feelings into consideration at times, and there have been moments where that's been returned to me, and I'm excited to really invest in building those types of relationships.
So cool. All right, man. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Tommy.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.